Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking with you about how to chat with a famous chef. So you have chosen a particular chef a few weeks ago to research a little bit about. We are going to expand that research with a full-fledged research project. But before we get into the project, I'm first going to have you chat with the chef, okay? And I have programmed multiple bots through AI to speak as if they are that actual chef. The AI bot knows every single thing they possibly can about the chef, in their career and their foods and their successes and whatnot. So that way they can engage in a thoughtful conversation with you. These conversations will help you get to know your chef a little better and maybe build some of that background knowledge prior to getting into the projects. So that way, when you get into the project, it should be very easy for you to go out and seek information that's very specific. But I will tell you, the information that you're going to cover today in the chat will absolutely 100% help you with the project as well. So here are all the chats based on the person you have. Make sure you're clicking on the correct one. And then in printout form, you're going to get a worksheet that you're filling out based on the chat you have today. It's up to you if you want to just go ahead and engage in chat and then later go back through and answer your questions, or use these questions to mirror how the chat is going. Totally up to you. The questions I have for you, and you're writing in your own words. You are not copying and pasting what you get from the chat. Okay, so you're going to tell me a little bit about your chef, not yourself, sorry. And you're going to give me 3 things you learned about your chef, not shelf, through your conversation with him or her. Okay, so you're just going to tell me 3 things you learned after having a conversation, like you're having a conversation with an old friend. What are 3 things you learned? Okay, you're going to tell me if your chef owns a restaurant or bakery, or if they work in a restaurant or bakery but not necessarily own it. And if so, what's the name of that restaurant or bakery? It could also be a food truck. Some of these chefs do have food trucks. I should have clarified that. What sort of dishes or foods your chef is known for? What inspires your chef? And that could be either in their food creations or in life. You can see where your conversation goes. Where did they learn their skill or trade to become a chef? Did they go to college? Were they self-taught? Did they go another route? Tell me that. Has your chef published any books? If not, have they been featured in any magazine or newspaper articles? And please be specific here. Don't just say yes or no, okay? Tell me what the name of the book is, or tell me what the name of the magazine they were interviewed for, or whatever the case is. What kind of advice did your chef give you? And that could be advice about the business, advice or tips about cooking. It's up to you. Just give me one example. And then provide me with one interesting fact about your chef. Okay? So we're going to engage in conversation, and we're going to get our answers to these questions based on that conversation. You are not Googling, you are having a conversation. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm doing Rocio Sanchez, which no one else chose her from that beginning list of chefs. So I chose her that way I wouldn't be duplicating what someone else is doing. Okay, so I'm going to click on the link. I'm going to put my first name and my last initial, and I'm going to click Join Room. Just know as I engage in this conversation, Chef and Mrs. Karn is going to have access to your entire conversation. So make sure it's appropriate and make sure it's on the same route of your questions that you're supposed to be answering on the worksheet, okay? Also acknowledge that, we can see your activity. We're not doing math here, but not everything is 100% reliable. So later on in our research, we'll be verifying some of the things they said in the chat. Interacting with AI takes practice. Be clear and specific about what you need. And if the bot is saying something and you don't understand what they're saying, you can say, "Can you simplify this?" Or "Can you make it a little easier for me to understand?" And they absolutely will. AI is a tool, not a replacement for your thinking. See, AI generated content is something that can assist you, and that's what we're doing. This is in anticipation of a research project. Monitor for bias and accuracy, and protect privacy. There's no reason you should give the bot any personal information whatsoever. They don't need to know the address of your home or your telephone number or anything like that. You are just conversing as a culinary student with this particular chef. So once you've understood all that, you hit I acknowledge, and then you'll see chatting with a chef and then your chef's name if you've clicked on the right link. If you haven't, if your chef name doesn't come up, check to make sure you clicked on the correct link. Once you're here, you're going to go ahead and click generate. Wait a moment. Okay, so then we are starting. Hello there, I'm Chef Rocio Sanchez, and I'm excited to chat with you about my culinary journey, my experiences in the world of Mexican cuisine, and my restaurants in Copenhagen. Feel free to ask me anything about my background, my cooking philosophy, my ventures to bring in authentic Mexican flavors to Denmark. What would you like to know? Also, you can have it read aloud to you. Okay, so if you'd like to listen, you can do that. Okay, so you can start off. Hello, I'm a culinary student in a high school program. I'm here to learn a little about you. We can listen to her. Okay, so at this point, you could go back, look at your sheet and say, do you want to go ahead and give 3 things you learned about your conversation? I mean, I could say that Rocio is in the country of Denmark, and she is sharing her expertise in Mexican cuisine. That could be something I could put there. I could also put that she grew up in Chicago and her parents were immigrants, and that's where her passion actually lies, probably within her parents' cooking and whatnot. I can give any other information I've learned so far, or I can continue on. Okay, I could say, what inspires you when creating dishes. Now, if I'm not a strong reader or I don't want to listen to that long of a statement, I could put, could you please simplify this information? And then she's going to bullet point or number out a couple of things, okay? So she does have work experience where she worked in a restaurant at Noma, so I could put that too. But number 4, what inspires you as a chef? I could say she's inspired by many things. Her work experience, she really loves Danish ingredients, She loves sharing our culture and Mexican background with the people of Denmark. I could put all these things in my own words, okay? I'm going to ask her, what dishes are you known for? Because I know that's one of the questions. So she also said, is there anything in any particular dish that you're curious about? I'm going to say, can you give me advice on making tamales? Okay, so that's the advice I want. Or you can ask her to give you advice about being a chef. She gives me lots and lots of advice here. I could ask her, where did you learn to become a chef? Did you go to school? Okay, so she went to a career academy, which is pretty cool, and then a culinary school, Le Cordon Bleu. She had on-the-job training, and then at her first big job, Noma, under Rene, he's actually one of our other chefs, where she learned a lot, so I can mention that as well. Okay, there's lots of things here. Oh, I could ask her if she's published any books. I can also just go along with her conversation. So I could say, she asked me, do you plan to go to culinary school? So I could talk about that too. Let me do that first. Yes, I want to continue learning at culinary school. Oh, and then she gives me advice about culinary school. So I could put this information as well. I'm curious, have you written any books I can read? Oh, she has. Nice. Sanchez the Cookbook. Okay, that was one of our questions. All right. Do you own your own restaurant or food truck? Oh, so a taco stand, a sit-down restaurant, no food truck. I'm gonna say I'm interested in owning a food truck. And she gives me information, more advice. So I have lots of options for advice that I can put on my worksheet as well, which is fantastic. So I'm going to be filling this out. Again, I can do it simultaneously while I'm having the conversation, or have the conversation and then go back through and read all the info. Okay? We're going to give you credit for having this conversation. So at minimum, we should see, like 6 or 7 exchanges. Well, actually more than that, because you even have 8 questions. So probably about 10 exchanges at minimum with your chef. Okay? And it's really, really nice because I have access to this conversation too. So that way, if I go in there and see that you're really interested in one aspect of your conversation, we can talk about that further in class too. Okay? Very, very cool. You can even say, I have to go, but thank you for chatting with me. And then she's going to give even more info. She's going to say,
I'm glad we had the chance to chat. It's
Awesome. That could even be your final one interesting fact, or whatever she said. Cooking is a journey. Every step teaches you something, something you learned from her, or any interesting fact you have out of here. You could even ask her for an interesting fact. And again, at any point, you could open up this chat and talk some more with her if you'd like. But this is going to give you some basic foundational information before you even begin your research project. So you looked at your chef just ever so briefly when we did the bear assignment. Now you're engaging in conversation, and then when you go to research, you're set up for success. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Let me know if you have any issues, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thanks, guys. Have fun.